Hello students! For this demonstration, I am going to show you how to create a colored portrait in the Autodesk Sketchbook app, going through various stages. Your homework was to take a selfie or use your school portrait and import it into your camera reel. This is my picture here that I chose. Then you will go into the Sketchbook app. This is my previous assignment that I had open, so I'm going to click New Sketch, Create. I'm going to save this current one. That way I have my new project. And I'm going to rotate this to be long ways since we're working portraits. Then you will need to import your image. You will use a variety of tools in the Sketchbook app, which include import images, using the paintbrushes, pens, and markers, the predictive stroke tool, color fill bucket, move tool, text tool, eraser tool, the opacity feature, hidden eye feature, color wheels, and especially knowing which layer you're on. So all photos, click this image to import it. You can make it pretty big. I'm going to make it actually touch all the edges of the picture plane. There we go. Click done. So what you're going to do is you're going to click into your side panel here, click on library, and then you want to make sure that you click the marker brush. Okay, click on your settings, and you can have the size go as big as you want to. I like that size. And then I don't really want much of a slant, so I'm bringing down the slant. Make sure you have a different layer. Okay, so you do not want to be working on the same layer. You're going to zoom in, and then make sure that you have the color selected that you want. I would suggest having just black. So you have to go into the color wheel and click black. You're going to click the predictive stroke tool. I'm going to bring this up. And then you are just tracing the features around your face. So notice I'm trying to keep my finger nice and steady. So what you're really focusing on is getting this outline. If I want to, I can check my layers and then I see what my outline looks like. I have to zoom in a little bit more, and I might actually make my brush size go down a little bit smaller, especially working on the inside. Remember, if there's something that you don't like, you can just use the back arrow to erase it. You can just keep checking back and forth between the picture to check how you've traced it. And then if you need to use your eraser tool, you can erase around anything that you need to. So now that you have your basic portrait done, we're going to add extra details. So again, zoom in by pinching your fingers, and then using the black marker tool, you're going to trace around your nose, around the circles of your cheeks, around the circle of your chin. Then you want to do any other details inside the ears, maybe adding some details on your eyes like eyelashes and a pupil and any reflection dots. Always remember to flip back and forth between the two layers of your photo and anything you have traced. And now it's time to change up the hair. So as you add lines into the hair, we are going to create some kind of mosaic effect where it looks like there's parts of all the lines attached to one another. So think about how hair falls and how the strands fall and they curve as you're separating these into separate sections using the black marker tool, just like we did for the rest of the project. Then you will take your black marker tool on a new layer and draw the lines of your mask, going from the bridge of the nose down under the chin and around. Now, if you want, you can also add a mosaic effect into your eyebrows. You don't have to, but this is just a little extra fun thing that you can do. Now, you should get into the best practice of saving your progress at the end of each class period through both saving it in the Autodesk Sketchbook app and also taking a screenshot just in case the app dies on you. So you're going to click the button that has the 3 dots on it with the arrow pointing to it. It'll say New Sketch and Gallery. You want to click New Sketch. Then you're going to see where it has like a new sketch icon. You're just going to click Create. And then it's going to say either Save or Discard Current Sketch. I want you to save the sketch. And you can screenshot it by pressing the home button and the side button on your iPad, and then just crop and that'll be saved to your photo reel. When you have your outline and your details completely done with the black marker tool, then it's time to start adding your color to your portrait. You'll need to go to your side panel and click on the color wheel at the bottom of that, and that will open up your color wheel panel. Or if you click the color wheel again, it's going to show all these different colors of the rainbow, and then you can select the colors that you'd like. When you're on the color wheel panel, move the small white circle on the color wheel or the value scale in the center, and that can select your color. And then you will be painting it up in the corner as your color palette. So you can get a whole bunch of variety of brown, trying to mimic the idea of cardboard. Then, using the eyedropper tool on the color panel, you'll be able to select your colors from your palette and use the fill bucket tool to simply fill the colors that you select on your portrait. The biggest thing here is to make sure that all your black lines are connecting, otherwise the fill bucket is going to spread out and fill more than you want to. Now, I felt I could add a little bit more detail into my portrait while working, so I used the black marker tool again to just quickly add more circles as my pearls. Then again, you just use the eyedropper tool to select your color from the palette and just continue to fill in all of the spaces to have your color where you want it. Whenever you go to start doing the mosaic of the hair, be very selective where you place what your tints and tones of the browns are, so that it does create a lot of nice variety for the mosaic hair. Save in the sketchbook app and screenshot it now. The next stage of this project is to add the hatching and cross-hatching value onto your portrait. As you're laying down the lines, imagine where there will be light and shadow on the project. That way you can have an accurate rendition of value. You'll need to select one of the marker tools, and then make sure that you are selecting black from the color wheel. Check the size of your brush so that it's appropriate to the lines you want to draw. Make sure you're on a new layer, and you will start drawing lines that are in one direction or crisscrossing directions to create value. So you can see I started with lines around the cheeks and the nose, then I added lines underneath the neck where there'll be a lot of dark value. Added some lines on the sides of the face, added value on the tops of the shoulders, underneath my necklaces, on the front of my shirt a little bit. I added lines on my lips, above my eyes, underneath my eyes for the dark circles. I added some lines on my forehead, and then I went and chose darker color of lines to add even another level of value on top of other areas already with value. Value in the ears, on the opposite side of the forehead, around the mouth, and then I adjusted my brush size again to make it smaller and finer to build even more depth of value across other areas on the portrait. And then using the black marker again, I added a lot of lines into my hair for hair strands. After completing all the lines, then you will go over into the layers panel, select the layer that has all of your value lines on it, and bring the opacity down so that they're not as harsh against the rest of the portrait. I realized I forgot to add value into the necklaces and the teeth, so I selected a yellow color and I added lined value into those areas as well. At this point in the project, I wanted to adjust some of my colors, so I was using the fill bucket tool again to adjust the smaller circles on my cheeks and chin, and then also to add a lighter value into the strands of my hair. The hatching and cross-hatching is one of the most difficult things to do for this project. So remember, you're trying to create value through a line. Save in the sketchbook app and screenshot it now. The final two steps of your portrait is to decorate the background and your mask to make them look more detailed, to make them stand out and be most dominant. Think about things that will relate to your personality. If you like hunting, maybe use a camo print. If you like a certain kind of animal, maybe use the pattern on that animal's fur. You can also do logos and pictures and words from quotes or songs. Really, the possibilities are endless. So the next step is to decorate your mask. So make sure that your mask layer is above the hatching and cross-hatching layer, And then you will use the fill bucket tool to fill in the mask with a color of your choice. And then if you would like, you can use the text tool to add typography or words into the mask that relate to your personality or your interests. In the text box that appears, just type whatever words that you want to use. And then, just like in many other programs, you can select a specific style of font that best matches with what you would like for your mask design. You can also change the color of the font by moving the small circles on the color wheel panel. Using the perspective tool, you can distort and move how you want your letters to look so that it can match the shape of the mask. So for my mask design, I am choosing to do a personal quote of love art, love you, and love to learn, which is actually my teaching philosophy in the classroom. Now, depending on your design, maybe you want to actually use the marker tool to paint and draw some things onto your mask. So I chose different shades and tints of the blue to create the idea of like a medical mask. Remember, you can decorate your mask however you want as long as it's something that personally relates to you. Save in the Sketchbook app and screenshot it now. Now, the last step of this is to decorate and detail the background. You can choose a whole bunch of different ways to do this. You could import images to place into the background. You could use the brush tools to paint a background. There's really no right or wrong way to do the background as long as it's showing something about you and relates back to your mask. I chose to import an older art project. If you do import images, you want to make sure that they're on the appropriate layer underneath or towards the bottom of almost all your other imagery. Then you can use the distort tool again to move things around to where you want them placed. I figured I would like to add my name into this, so I chose my graffiti name that I designed a couple weeks back, and I placed it up in the top corner. Then using the eraser ability in the color palette with the fill bucket tool to delete things I don't need around it. In combination with the eraser brush, deleting things that the fill bucket tool couldn't delete. And again, using more of the marker tools to redraw some of the lines that I lost while erasing. As you're working, you're going to use a lot of tools, so try to become comfortable with these through your experimentation on the project. Now, I noticed that some of the colors came through on my main portrait from the background image I used, so I had to use brushes and the eraser tool and other different tools to fix that mistake. Looking at your finalized portrait, you can flip back and forth between your mask layer and the portrait layer. So, when finished, you may take a screenshot and crop, and you will save this image to your photo reel. We will then submit it to the Schoology assignment in my course. If you have any other questions, just let me know in class. I hope y'all had fun making your portrait.